What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the stream. And today we're going to be going through our second trade deadline with those Chicago White Sox. I think we got a pretty good episode on tap. I think I've got some intriguing, interesting trades that'll help us out for our future. But I want to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments what you think about some of these trades and how you think we're doing so far as we've been progressing through this rebuild. All right, let's get to it. So despite some of our successes this season and the fact that, we're in the thick of things in the playoffs, I'm still going to opt for the selling route. I don't think we're quite ready to compete yet, and I don't want to start putting our foot too far out in front of us before we really build up a long-term competitor. So to start off this... Fire sale! Wait, what? What was that? Fire sale! I know what I must do. Yes, you are seeing that right. It's time to go big or go home, baby. We are going to be making a mega blockbuster trade with the San Diego Padres, who are trying to go for broke to keep up with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's check out this trade, which is going to have to be in two parts to contain just how massive it is. So in the first part of this trade, we are going to be trading Luis Robert Jr., who's been just an absolute superstar for us. You take a look at some of his numbers on the season right there. And then we are also going to be adding in one of our top prospects coming into this franchise, Jairo Iriarte. Iriarte is really being added to this deal to kind of offset the massive loss of prospects that the Padres are about to have in this trade, so they aren't left completely barren. He hasn't cracked the majors yet for us, but he's had a pretty good season at AAA, so he's knocking on the door trying to get there. And in return, we're going to be getting one of my favorite prospects in all of baseball, Jackson Merrill, who's already had a little bit of MLB service time to his name. We're also going to be getting a potential 19-year-old shortstop in Leonidas DeVries, taking a look at some of his makeup there. He's already broken into AAA, but still kind of working on his growth there. And then finally, we're going to be getting Robbie Snelling, another one of the top prospects in all of baseball, one of the top pitching prospects as well. 21-year-old, a potential 75 overall. He is ready for the majors. So this is a big time haul to get in the first part of this trade, and I am super excited for that. In the second part of this trade, we're going to be sending Garrett Crochet, who has been the ace of our staff and put up some pretty solid numbers. Obviously could be a little bit better, but his FIPs the last two seasons have been pretty good. And the Padres really could use another high-end starter, especially a lefty, into their rotation. They also could use some bullpen help, so we're going to be sending Craig Kimbrell, who hasn't been outstanding this year, but again, he's 30 of 35 on save opportunities. He is a wily old veteran, so should help shore up their bullpen as well. And then again, for similar reasons to why we are sending Jairo Iriarte, we are going to be sending Jacob Gonzalez. It's kind of had a breakout this year. You look at the slash line, I mean, that is absolute perfection. I cannot ask for more out of him than that. He was the first round draft pick for us back in 2023, and he jumped up to B potential last year and has just continued to grow. Kind of sad to see him go, but you know what? We've got plenty of other talent on the roster, and I think the Padres will be happy to get him as well as Iriarte to kind of offset some of the talent that they are losing in their farm. And of that talent, we are going to be getting another 21-year-old stud starting pitcher in Dylan Lesko. He has B potential, already 71 overall. I acquired him in my Royals franchise last year, and he is pretty filthy, so I'm excited to get him back on the roster again. And then we are also going to be acquiring 26-year-old catcher, C potential, almost maxed out with the 79 potential in Luis Camposano. I'm looking to shore up my catcher position in the short term as I am waiting for Edgar Cuero to be ready. Camposano's a pretty solid hitter. He's a decent defensive catcher as well. I could also move him to first base if needed once Caro is ready to go. So I'm pretty excited. And they don't really need him anyways because Ethan Salas is arguably the top prospect in all of baseball. He's got like 98 potential, only 18 years old, already 75 overall. This kid is a stud. So yeah, they don't need Camposano at all. So I'm excited for this trade to finally go through. And man, I got quite a haul. So just recapping the final trade, man, I am excited about this one. This is probably the biggest blockbuster I have ever made in all of MLB The Show. Wait, what now? What now? Hey, what? Oh, hell no. Breaking news from Jeff Passan. Rob Manfred is reportedly pissed about the Chicago White Sox blatant attempt to tank at the trade deadline. Nah, I'm not going to stand for this. We got some things to talk about. It's press conference time.
I want to thank you all for coming. I wanted to read a brief statement and then I'll answer some of your questions. I first wanted to object to the notion that Commissioner Rob Manfred has any say over how our organization is run. When I took control of this franchise, I had one clear goal in mind, and that was to build a perennial contender that could win multiple titles. Many great baseball minds before me have gone about this in different ways. The George Steinbrenners and Theo Epsteins of the baseball world. They give people like myself templates to work off of. But ultimately, the path to success is malleable, and it's up to the person in charge. I'm 100% committed to injecting life into the South Side of Chicago and getting a whole new generation of baseball lovers to become White Sox fans. And I will not let someone like Rob Manfred stand in my way. Now I'll take your questions.
Josh Peters from 670 The Score. Why did you decide to make this move now?
You know, I'll be honest, it wasn't our original plan. We kept that door open to see what might walk through it. And once we got on the phone with AJ Preller, things just started to come together pretty fast. And I think both sides ended up with conversation they could be happy with.
Michael Holt from the Chicago Tribune. How do you think the fans will take this trade, especially considering a guy like Luis Robert was so well loved in Chicago?
I imagine they'll be a little bit upset at first. Fans can build up a considerable attachment to these players, especially when they're homegrown guys like Luis and Garrett. But all I ask is that the fans keep an eye on the vision and really understand, what we're trying to build here. And most importantly, in true Sam Presti fashion, trust the process.
Kevin Rees from the MLB Network. What are your next moves as you go forward from this point?
Stay on target. There's still plenty more we can do at this deadline to acquire both current and future talent. I also think it's a good idea to keep an eye on the guys already in the organization and to continue developing them.
Mary Witherspoon from ESPN. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to Rob Manfred?
Yes, I do. Try and stop me.
Let's get right back into this thing because I'm not stopping for anybody. So the next move that I'm going to be making is I am going to be sending Randall Grichuk, who we signed with the intention of turning him into a nice lefty smasher and then flipping him at the deadline. And man, that plan really worked out. He even started to get some at-bats against righties and actually performed pretty well there as well. So I couldn't have asked for any more out of Randall Grichuk. So we are also going to be sending alongside him Chris Flexen, who's actually been pretty good for us the last couple years. The advanced metrics don't love him with the FIP being above 4 on both, but the component ERA likes him quite a bit. So I'm really happy with what we've been able to get out of Flexen these last 2 years. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the thick of things, believe it or not. And they could use a right-handed bat to help kind of offset some platoon guys like Jack Sawinski, also a veteran to help out some of these younger players. So that's a pretty good get in Randall Grichuk. And they also could use somebody to help shore up the back end of their rotation. They got a couple of young guys who are kind of up and down and maybe not performing outstandingly. Flexen could also kind of go to the bullpen as well and help them out. So that'll be a good combination for them. And from the Pirates, I'm going to be taking Quinn Priester, one of their former top prospects. He does have 85 potential, but he's already 24 years old. He's only a 72, kind of running out of time to grow pretty quickly. As you see, he has not played in the majors at all the last 2 seasons. And honestly, the Pirates are pretty stacked up with young pitching. Behind him, they've got Bubba Chandler. Ahead of him, they have guys like Jared Jones, Anthony Solometo, as well as Johan Oviedo and Mitch Keller, who is signed to a long-term contract as well. So they can survive without Quinn Priester if it means getting them some good pieces to help them finish out this season strong and hopefully make the playoffs. So the next trade isn't anything too crazy. It's actually not even to a contending team. It's another team stuck in purgatory like us, as the New York Mets have been struggling. And we're going to go get Jake Berger from them, bring him back home to where he belongs in Chicago. I was a fan favorite and then just randomly got traded in the middle of the 2023 season because, Jerry Reinsdorf is evil, devil. We covered that back in the first episode. But anyways, we're going to bring him back because the people on the South Side love them some burgers. And we need kind of a big bat in the middle of our lineup for the next couple seasons to help shore up some things as some of our younger guys kind of slowly get brung along. And Berger's kind of blocking a high upside third baseman in Brett Beatty. As you see, he's 13 at bats only. He's actually sitting in AAA right now. They also have a couple other infielders in Ronnie Mauricio and Luis Angel Acuna as well. So Berger's kind of blocking some guys, so they're trying to divest from him a little bit. In the meantime, they want to help out their rotation a little bit. They don't have a great rotation right now, and Toussaint has been not great, but solid for us the last 2 seasons. His ERA has kind of ballooned up a little bit the last couple of weeks for us and just pushed the FIP. Mostly he's having trouble keeping the ball in the yard, but he hasn't had too much trouble with that the last couple seasons, so I think he can settle down for the Mets. Additionally, Sammy Peralta is a guy that I'm okay moving on from with the emergence of Jared Schuster, and the Mets don't have any viable lefties at all anywhere in their system going forward, so Sammy Peralta will be a good get for them. And kind of a trade-off with losing Jake Berger, Gavin Sheets will be a nice masher against righties for them. You see some of the numbers, he's really been playing well the last few weeks, so I think Sheets trading off for Berger and then getting a couple extra pieces is something that the Mets will be pretty happy with, and I am happy to have Jake Berger back where he belongs. So guys, I'm really sorry to say Dylan Floro did finally give up a run. I'm so mad at him, but I'm not really. 1 earned run in 26 and a third innings pitched is that's crazy, bro. Just absolutely outstanding. Let's see. His FIP and his component ERA are still below 1. This guy's been insane this year. 1.1 WAR for a reliever is pretty good, to be honest. Just outstanding, and we're going to be trading him to the Chicago Cubs, who desperately need some solid bullpen help. And, I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with the trade package here. It's not a crazy return. We're going to be getting Pablo Aliendo, another young catcher, really a strong defender with a little bit of bat to boot. Take a look at some of his MLB numbers. Only 23 at-bats last year, but he's really played decently at AAA this year. Again, only that 73 potential, but a nice guy to kind of give us another depth option. We're also going to be going to get BJ Murray Jr. This is probably the biggest get of the trade. He's got 75 potential. Again, another really strong bat that I could possibly plug into the lineup this year. We'll see what we can get out of him. And then we went and got another young shortstop, a developmental project, only 73 potential, but a guy that I'm kind of excited to get. Good defender, good pop in his bat, and that is Dernique Valdez. So yeah, not a crazy for return for Floro, but hey, listen, with some of the other deals we've got on tap so far, I'm not too mad with what we're getting. And for our final deal of this trade deadline, we are going to be sending Ahmed Rosario, who is recently off the injured list, along with Michael Kopech, who has had himself a pretty solid season. Let's scroll over and take a look at his FIP down to the 3.63. Not bad at all. And then one of our midseason acquisitions from last year, Sabin Ceballos, with his 78 potential, who's actually had a very, very good season at AA. And we're going to be sending that trade package to the New York Yankees for one of their stud prospects, center fielder Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones does have 86 potential, so you might think this is a little bit of an overpay, but to be honest with you, the Yankees are kind of flush with outfielding prospects as well as some just established outfielders. You see Max Kepler's currently in the majors right now. Behind him, they have Brent Rooker. Both those guys are 78 and 80 respectively. Aaron Judge, obviously a stud. Jason Dominguez is a potential, so he's ahead of Spencer Jones. Behind Spencer Jones, they have Brandon Maella. In left field, they've got Tyler O'Neill and Jesse Winker, and also Everson Pereira. So they are stacked in the outfield, and Spencer Jones is just kind of sitting in limbo with nowhere to play at the moment. And on top of that, the Yankees really need some production out of second base. They are currently starting Jahmai Jones, who's just been bleh. So I will be moving Ahmed Rosario to shortstop, and then they also need some bullpen pitching as well. Their bullpen has been really rough, as you see some of the overalls there as well. And then just to offset some of the strong potential I am getting for Spencer Jones, I am going to send them a young third baseman. And they don't really have any long-term options at third base, so Ceballos will be a pretty good get for the Yankees as well. And I am happy with that one. So just recapping the deals that we made, wow, that is a full trade list. That might be the most players I have ever traded for, total I've sent, whatever, ever in a trade deadline. This was an active one. So this is what our prospect list looked like before the deadline. And this is what our top 20 prospects list looks like after the deadline, after those flurry of moves. Oh man, a lot of new names on this list. DeVries, Snelling, and Lesko all coming over from the Padres. Schultz and Montgomery were already here. Jones coming from the Yankees. Caro and Gonzalez, Zavala, Pete, Ryan, Keeter, Eater, McDougal, Taylor, Wolko, White, Veras, Quintero, and Cannon. Round out our top 20. Most of those guys near the tail end were all originally in our system, but man, we basically rebuilt our top 5 to 6 players in this system. Whew. Wow, what a trade deadline. Checking out what our roster looks like after the trades we made, it's a little rough. We don't have a single guy above 80 right now, but you know, that's okay. We got a lot of A potentials and good B potentials coming down the pipeline pretty soon. This is what our lineup's going to look like, at least to start post deadline. I'm probably going to do some moving and shaking here in the near future. Probably get Colson Montgomery up pretty soon and see how some of these guys pan out in their spots, and might switch some guys out as necessary. Finally, this is what our rotation is going to look like. Not a whole lot of experience outside of Tony Gonsolin, so I'm a little bit worried about some of the younger guys, but hey, it's sink or swim time for some of these guys. Bullpen also gets a little bit more inexperienced. A little nervous about that because that's been the kind of the unit that's been carrying us to this point, but I got some intriguing options, so I'm excited to see them. And finally, to wrap up this episode, let's take a look at our draft prospects. Our first round pick was actually pretty solid. He's going to have an 84 potential, coming in at a 63 overall to start. Like I said, we are going to be moving him to starting pitcher. I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, I was a little bit concerned about his Ks per nine. It is pretty low in the end, but those hits per nine and based on balls per nine are in pretty good places. So not too bad all told. Our second round pick, Luis Zambrano, probably could have been a little bit better. You'd like to get a little bit better than a 75 potential. Actually, this is technically a first round pick because he was in competitive balance. I'd like something a little bit more than a 78, which will be a 75 potential. Not great, but it is what it is. Third round pick is pretty much as expected, so he's coming in with a 77 potential, which will be a 74 potential, but he's pretty advanced. This is another, college bat with some pretty good pop from the left-handed side of the plate, especially against righties. I think this guy can possibly break through into the majors for us or turn into a trade chip. Cesar De La Rosa is only going to have 67 potential when it's all said and done, but hey, I was looking for a developmental catcher and somebody to be in the organization, so that'll be fine. Same thing for Angel Rodriguez. He's only going to have 61 potential. He's actually overshot his overall at the moment. But you know what? I was looking for a organizational first baseman who hits the ball pretty well, and I think he can do that. Nate McCann has some solid potential that's going to end up at a 73, but he's really far away from the majors. I don't know. I may throw him in Double-A just for the hell of it next year, but I'm not expecting much out of him. And finally, our last round pick, Robbie Martinez, we were unable to sign. I put a lot more focus on the other guys, didn't really bother to throw him onto my interest list at all. So he didn't like what we were offering, so he shot us down. That'll wrap up the draft class. Not a great one. Not too disappointed in Alexis Ruiz, so that'll be pretty good. The rest of the guys are just But hey, this episode was all about the blockbuster trades, and man, I'm really excited for all of those. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. This was a really fun episode. I also want to thank the Franchise Fidelity to Reality Discord for helping me out come up with that Padres trade. I wanted to make sure that I got a massive haul, but also wasn't having the Padres overpay. And I did a lot of tinkering, and I think it came up with a really good deal. So shout out to y'all. I appreciate you. In the meantime, tweet time, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gone. Deuces.